What's up guys, and welcome back to another video on my channel. This is the first Football Manager video back. So drop me a like, drop me a sub if you're a Football Manager player. Let me know what you think of today's video. Now, today's video is going to be a three-part series in which I rank my top 10 defensive players, midfield players and attacking players that I've used in Football Manager 2022 so far. Now, this is going to be my personal preference. There are going to be a lot of players on here that you probably disagree with, a lot of players on here you do agree with. But yeah, in this mix for the defensive players, there is only one goalkeeper and there's only a couple of fullbacks. The rest are centre-backs. And then I'll have the midfielders, which will range from attacking to defensive to box-to-box midfielders, anything along the sort. And in the attacker section, we'll have wingers and strikers. So today's video, we're going to start with the defensive section. Pardon the tongue twister there. So let's get into the video. So the first player who is ranked number 10 for my defensive players of my favourite players I've used this year is Marcos Alonso. Now, I know what you're going to say. He plays for Chelsea. I'm a Spurs fan. How on earth have I enjoyed using him? And the fact of the matter is, he fits the way I play on Football Manager to an absolute T. Now, I'm going to weigh up the pros, weigh up the cons, and give you a rating out of 5-star for what I think the signing is. Now, first and foremost, as a fullback, his attacking stats are brilliant. He's not going to cost a lot. He is on quite a high wage, but I've found that you can get him down to 75, 80 grand a week, depending on the club you're at. His attacking stats are fantastic. The technical stats, the mental stats are brilliant. Everything's 12, 13, 14, in and around that. I find he's great for a wide centre-back in a back three. He's 6'2". He's not too slow. His physical stats in terms of his fitness and his stamina are great. So I find he does well in the wide centre-back role. And I also find he does well in the wing-back role. Now, the negatives of Marcos Alonso and the reason why he's bottom. You can only sign him with a certain pool of clubs, right? So not every single club you go to are you going to be able to sign Marcos Alonso, which is going to make it more difficult for him to be compatible with everyone's save, number one. Number two, even though he's got 2 years left on his contract, I find you're paying 18 to 20 million for him, which for a 30-year-old, it's not what you want to be paying for someone that age. Personally, I find it's a little bit on the expensive side. If you're an AC Milan, an Inter Milan, a Barcelona, Real Madrid, and you want to sign a squad player, he's going to be perfect for you. For that amount of money, he'll be 10 out of 10 squad player, can play multiple positions, and he'll be brilliant. If you're a West Ham, a Newcastle, I don't know, a Southampton, a team trying to push into that gap, he's probably not going to be value for money, if I'm honest with you. So it all is retrospective to the club you're at. Now, the other downsides of him, as I say, he's 30 years old. So even though on Football Manager, it's not like FIFA players don't drop off a cliff at 30, there are negatives to having a player in that age in your squad. They want game time. If they're a squad rotation player, they might not be getting as much. They can cause problems. The other downsides, his acceleration and his pace are not that great at 12. For a fullback, you're like lightning quick, and he's not quite that, which is why I've always opted for him as the wide centre-back role. Now, even though he's relatively composed, his concentration is quite good, I find he can still be, what's the way of putting it? He can still be immature and almost unexperienced in that centre-back position at times. So, again, it's dependent on the club you're at, how much you're willing to spend. I think as a squad player, he's fantastic. As a starter for some clubs, he's great. And for me, he's 100% an option in which you should consider. On to number 9 on this list is Bremer. Now, obviously, he's just moved to Juventus in real life, so he's going to be hard to get. For £20 million for a 24-year-old who is quick, who is strong, who is tall, he's got everything. He can be a ball-playing centre-back. He can be a no-nonsense centre-back. He can be a wide centre-back. He can be a centre-back just on defend. He's got all of it. For the value for money, he's brilliant. I've used him and signed him several times. The only downside I have with him, from my personal experience, is his leadership qualities are not what you'd look for in a defence. If you're going to have the best defence in the world, the best defence in a league, he's maybe the downgrade before those players who get you to having the best defence in the league. I did a Newcastle save, which I'll talk to you about as we go on with some of the other players in here. And some of the centre-backs I had in that were part of the best defensive record I've ever seen on a Premier League save in Football Manager. across, and I might be wrong, there might be someone who's got less, but we conceded 20 goals in that season, only 5 more than the lowest defence in Premier League history. For me, he's just not. He's a great player. He's going to take you into the top 4. He's going to take you into Champions League football. He's going to take you to cup finals. Is he the centre-back that's going to win you those things on a consistent basis? Unless you've got absolute world beaters either side of him, I'm probably going to say no. But again, one of my favourite players this year. Obviously, he's at Juventus for next season. So he's probably not going to be an option for next year. But definitely, if you've not signed him this year, get on a save. Try him out. For me, I love him. Next on the list is Mancini. Now, another centre-back, like Bremer, he's not really a ball-playing centre-back. He's a no-nonsense. He's your leader in that centre-back role. As you can see, his value is 10 to 15 million. You can get him for 20 million maximum. He's 6'3". His physicals, his teamwork, determination, composure, he is that mature centre-back. If you're playing a back 3, you're playing a back 2. Him on the centre-back role, on central defender on defend, is absolutely outstanding. He's one of my favourite players I've used this year. He's one of my favourite players in the game. And yeah, he's brilliant. For me, you have him alongside the right 2 centre-backs, you can walk a league title. Again, he's not really a ball-playing centre-back. For me, like, his passing's good. His vision's not good enough to be a ball-playing centre-back to the level that I want it personally. But he's quick, he's tall, he's strong. He's got everything you want in a centre-back. And he's only 25 as well. So if you spend 20, 25 million on him, if he plays to 35, you're going to get your money's worth. So for me, top player. And I'd 100% recommend signing him for sure, if you haven't already. Tomori is the next one. I realise there's a lot of defenders from Serie A here. Now, I've used Tomori on 2 saves, and one of them was that Newcastle save, where I set a record of conceding only 20 goals in 38 Premier League games. With Newcastle, we won the league undefeated, and it was without doubt one of the most fun saves I've done this year. He was the mainstay as a wide centre-back. He was brilliant. There were a couple of downsides to him. He's very, very expensive. When I signed him for Newcastle, I think I paid 65 million for him. Granted, he's only 23. He's English. So if you're managing an England save with an English club, 100% sign him. If you're managing a Real Madrid, a Barcelona, a Napoli, Inter Milan, AC Milan, obviously he's already at AC Milan, but in terms of signing him, unless you're an English club, I don't think he's going to be as worth the money. If he's English because he's homegrown, he's worth it. If you're a Chelsea fan, you do a Chelsea save. If you're a Spurs fan, Man United fan, get him in the door. He'll do a fantastic job. He's a solid player. But again, I don't necessarily feel that you're going to get value for money for him unless you're an English side and you're gaining the homegrown from above. For me, if I was Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund, I wouldn't be going and spending 65, 70 million pounds on a player who, I would argue Mancini is as good as him without the homegrown aspect of it. So yeah, it varies. But for me personally, probably the best English centre-back on the game, I would argue. But if you're not managing a homegrown player, I wouldn't use him. But for that save, for that Newcastle save, he was incredible. One of my favourite players to use this year. He was a rock at the back. And if you haven't tried him already, definitely do before the year's out. On to the next player. This is the only goalkeeper in the side. At 6'4", Emi Martinez is without doubt the best goalkeeper I have actually signed myself this year. Again, another player I signed on the Newcastle save. He cost me £30 million plus Martin Dubravka. And he conceded, I think, I can't remember how many goals it was. It must have been, I'm pretty sure we conceded, we conceded 20 goals that season. So the amount of clean sheets he kept was absolutely outstanding. He was an absolute rock. He was in big games, in games where we weren't playing well, where, there was a game against Brighton, I think we went 1-0 up and then took the foot off the gas. We were getting injuries where they were attacking. He made 18 saves. So for me, you're not going to get a better goalkeeper than this. Yes, he costs a lot for his age, but goalkeepers, as everyone knows, goalkeepers last longer in their career anyway. I think he's 100% worth the money. Absolutely get him in. I couldn't recommend another goalkeeper more. He's tall as well. For me, goalkeepers are my weakest point in terms of scouting. I've made the wrong decisions on so many occasions, but this is the one I got right. Absolute top tier player. I'll definitely get him in the door, no matter what club you're at. I believe we're now into the last 5 or the last 4. And next on the list is Maxis Lacroix. Now, for me, he was the best centre-back in that back 3 for that Newcastle save, where I won the league this year. He was just everything you look for in a centre-back. Yes, all right, you're going to pay 45 million for him, but he's only 21 years old. The longevity of him is fantastic. His pace, his fitness, his stamina, everything's brilliant. He's 6'3", he's quick, he's tall, he's strong on the ball. He's got the dribbling for a wide centre-back role as well. He is, without doubt, up there with one of the best centre-backs, if not the best centre-back I've used this year. A lot of people sign him. I know he's quite a generic sign-in. But for me, if you've got the money, you're looking for a centre-back who's going to last you a 10-year save, then for me, he's definitely the player you go for. On to the next player then. Now, the next player is a fullback again. He's not my favourite fullback because there's a fullback higher in the list than him. But he's my favourite left back I've used this year, and it is Jose Gaia. Now, before you look at the price, because he is expensive, I had a save with him with Barcelona where he finished the season on something like 45 assists in all competitions. He is incredible. Absolutely incredible. 26 years old. You're going to get 8 years out of him. He's just sensational. Now, he costs an absolute bombshell, right? You can look at the price there, 53 to 64 million. I believe when I signed him, I paid upwards of £80 million for him. But he has the right stats and the right pace. His crossing and dribbling is fantastic. His passing, his tackling is great. His vision, his work rate, his positioning, off the ball, flair, determination, decisions, concentration, composure, anticipation, his pace, his natural fitness, his agility, his balance, his acceleration. He is the perfect fullback. And the only reason why he's not top is because of how much he costs. Even though I believe you can get your money's worth out of him, and even though I believe I have got my money's worth out of him on the saves I've signed him on this year, he's one of those saves you're not going to be able to buy him unless you are that top percent of the club. Unless you are a Newcastle 3 or 4 years in, or Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs, Barcelona, Real Madrid, AC Milan, Inter Milan, Juve, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, sorry. You're not gonna get this kind of caliber of player. But if you are one of those clubs, or you become one of those clubs, get him in. Even if you haven't done a glory hunter save yet, do a glory hunter save. Pick a big club, Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, Barcelona. Start off with them, sign him, get him in the door. I promise you won't regret it. 10 out of 10. He has been one of my favourite players to use this year. And even though the other players, there's pros and cons, the only con with him is the price. And for me personally, if you're at a club with enough money, you get your pennies worth absolutely 100% of the time. So for me personally, absolutely 100% got to get him in the door. To the point where if I ever buy a Spain kit and I can get him on the back, I probably will, because he has been one of my Football Manager favourites, and he'll definitely be one of the players I go to sign on a Spurs save when I start for FM23. On to the next player then, and we go into the final 3. In third place is a current or just signed Tottenham loanee, and that's Clement Lenglet from Barcelona. Now, for me personally, I play with a back 3, right? I play with a wide centre-back on the left, on the right, and then in the middle I play with a central defensive centre-back, with a centre-back on defend. For the £15 million you can sign him, he's only 26, he's fantastic. He was the left centre-back in the back 3 of my Newcastle save. So I had him, I had Lacroix, and I had Tamori. And that back 3, as I say, conceded 20 goals in the Premier League over the course of the season and won the league unbeaten. He was a mainstay for that. I find the reason why he's so high, because he's not the quickest. His stats aren't, you don't look at his stats and think, wow, they're amazing. But you're only paying 12 to 15 million for him. You're getting a good 5 to 6 years out of him. And he will come to 90% of clubs, right? So if you're a club on the cusp of Europe, he'll join you. If you're a club in Europe, he'll join you. If you're a club outside the Champions League and in the Europa League, he'll join you. I feel like he's one of those players who's a stepping stone to get to the next caliber level of player. And for me, I've loved using him this year. I cannot wait to have him on the Spurs save next year. He's great value for money, and he's just an exceptional player. So for me, yeah, 100%. You're looking for a budget centre-back, your budget's 20 million, get him in the door, can play in the back four, can play in the back three, can play in the back five. He's just outstanding. Without a shadow of a doubt, one of the best value money for players I have used this year, for sure. In at number 2 is the upgrade for Longley, who was my signing in the second season at Newcastle at left centre-back. He's a 6'4" French Bundesliga centre-back. If you can guess who he is, that's right, it's Ivan Ndika. Now, again, right, he's 22 years old. His stats are outstanding for the age he's at. He's got 4 years on Longley. You're paying you're going to be paying a little bit more. You're going to be paying the 25 to 30 million rather than the 15 to 20 million. But if he plays week in, week out, he plays consistently, and you have the right players alongside him, he will grow into being one of the best defenders in the world. I had him in a back three at Valencia with him, Gabriel Paulista, and Decare, I believe his name is, a French centre-back who plays there. He was the only signing I made in the first season with Valencia. I spent £40 million on him and went on to win the league unbeaten in the first season. He was incredible in Europe, in the league. He dominated. There wasn't a player who got the better of him. And when I'm telling you, those stats grow like you wouldn't believe. When he's playing 38 games of a league season, he's playing 15 to 20 games in the Champions League, he's playing 8 or 9 cup games over the course of the season. When he's playing a 50 to 60 game season, he becomes incredible. The one thing I would say with him, if you have a shaky defence alongside him and notice he starts to develop bad traits alongside those defenders, if you've got defenders that constantly misjudge the ball, if you've got defenders who constantly make mistakes, I find that sometimes he can join in with that. But if you've got the right players either side of him, he's just outstanding. Without a shadow of a doubt, one of my favourite players to use this year. His value will definitely go up next year. So this year, while you can get him in, nurture him, play him week in, week out, and you've got yourself a world-class centre-back within 2 years. And left-footed as well, which is hard to come by. For me, I like my centre-backs to play out on their strong foot. So he's perfect. On to the player number 1. The best defensive player I have signed this year from Wolfsburg. It is a German right wing back, and it is Riddle Baku. Now, I love him. I absolutely love him. He's 23 years old. His attacking stats grow so much. I normally get him for about 30 to 35 million pounds, and he is worth absolutely every penny. I think there's only been a handful of saves I've not signed him on this year, and I have absolutely loved him. I've signed him for Leicester. I've signed him for Barcelona. I've signed him for Spurs. I've signed him for PSV one season. He's played for so many different clubs for me, and he's always been consistent. He's always been the top of his game. I don't find he's very injury prone, which is great, and his development is fantastic. You can mould him into a box-to-box midfielder as well, and again, his development is brilliant. So for me, at number 1, Riddle Baku. Let me know whether you agree with my listing. Who would you add? Who would you take away? Let me know if you try any of these players as well. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you next week for part 2, my top 10 favourite midfielders I've signed this year on Football Manager. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.